Welcome back to Today Extra. Well, our next guest is a single dad from Sydney who's worked out a way to live for free.
What?
Chris Cooper is taking advantage of the sharing economy to cover his cost of living.
And we're talking mortgage, road tolls, petrol. His life's completely offset. Here he is now to tell us all about it. Chris, welcome. You're taking care of your day-to-day expenses by using apps.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Why did you start this and how has it been successful for you?
Well, it's been incredibly successful, actually. I had a 10-year marriage, happily married, and but that ended, and then found myself with a large house in Barrel down the Southern Highlands, which has a large mortgage. So what can I do? Put it onto Airbnb, haven't looked back. The house is now full with paying guests happily staying there and covering the mortgage.
One of the biggest expenses for a family is often the car, but you managed to avoid ever paying for petrol, tolls, etc. Tell us how you do that.
Yeah, well, so I was just driving a stock standard, petrol-powered car and thought I'll start driving for Uber, and all of a sudden I realised that you can offset a lot of your existing travel by having other people pay for you to travel. And they're just showing the electric car there, but
Tesla? Is that
the
what you've
Tesla,
got?
yeah, the self-driving. That's where I've moved up to, courtesy of the sharing economy. That's literally how successful they're not. Well, paid 150k for it a year and a half ago. It's still worth 150k now. So the car is effectually for free in that regard, because it's the engines don't wear out. There's no engine. But so started driving a petrol car for Uber, and a lot of my travel was free. I'd go across the Harbour Bridge to travel down to work, and I could time it so that Uber would pay for my journey. They'd pay for my toll.
The customer would pay.
Yeah.
All right, so you actually have a spare car. You rent that out for a bit of extra cash. So how does that work?
Yes, when I ended up buying a Tesla and thought I'm not sure how the charging goes, and I'll keep my old car, but it's the rego and insurance. So I put it onto an app called Car Next Door, and that has been quite successful. So now the car is accessible to me if I need it occasionally. Sometimes I rent it out to my paying guests that are staying in my houses, and it's making it's paying for itself. So I've got a second car for free.
That people effectively come and rent. Is that
it's the same concept, Airbnb. It's just that sharing economy. I have a resource, I share it with others, they pay for the car. The sharing platform, so Car Next Door as a platform, covers you for damage, manages all the bookings, takes a cut, but the end result is, if you the Australians out there that have a car parked outside their work all day, they should rent it out. They can cover the cost.
Just sitting there idle.
Just idle.
So in terms of property, you own one, you rent 3 others, but you actually lease them all out through Airbnb, which rakes in a lot of cash, but we understand it leaves you without a fixed address. How does that work?
Well, I could stay in a particular place if I wanted to, but the transient lifestyle is also sort of fun. I used to, I still do a bit of travel for my, work for a company, Edval, with timetabling, and that's a bit of travel there. So sometimes I'm out of the country. But yeah, it's a case that if someone books my property on the weekend down in the Southern Highlands in Barrel, lovely place down there, so I then have to find somewhere else to stay. I go up to the city and stay in my flat. Sometimes somebody's also booked all of the flats or the house. So
at that point, you stay in the garage. Or the Tesla.
the Tesla, no. That's where I go and rent somewhere else. So I have had, I'll go and stay in a seaside place, and sometimes taking friends. The holiday is being covered by the Airbnb rental. I'm effectively not only having my seaside holiday paid for by others in the sharing economy, there might be some profit in it as well.
So this app-fueled life you're living large on the apps. There's a lot of effort involved in this from the sound of it. But is it doable for average Aussies, Chris?
It absolutely is. I would probably be a little bit more on the extreme scale of getting into this whole sharing economy.
No, you're quite an addict now.
Yeah, well, it's working well. It's working. I'm still single, so I haven't quite got the sharing life.
Oh, you should try Tinder.
But anyway, so no, look, in terms of for the everyday Australian, I would very much encourage them to consider it. I mean, I push it quite frequently to friends and family. Some of them will say, oh, well, I've got a 2-bedroom place, my kids are in one room, I'm in the other, how can I can't rent, it's got nowhere to rent out. I say, well, do you ever take a holiday? Why don't you put your place onto, you know, these sharing platforms, even at a high price, occasionally someone will pay for it, and you'll then say, well, now that's my cue to take the kids to Queensland, courtesy of the sharing economy.
Good on you, buddy.
go.
It's a good idea. For more information on the apps that Chris uses, head to Today's Show website. Good to see you, mate. Thanks for coming in.
Okay, thank you.